thoughts on the missing James Harden coming up at 6:45. At 6:15, nothing missing from the Bills last night. They were absolutely terrific. We're going to talk about the Pats, who are turning some heads, at least trying to make the playoffs, maybe grab that final wild card spot in just a moment. They're 6-6, 2 back of the 6 and 7 seed at this particular point. In the first segment, we clearly got your thoughts, Key, on that the Steelers are good, probably not good enough to beat the Chiefs. The Bills are good. Are the Bills good enough in a one-game scenario? You guys always say it, one game, right? Anything can happen in one game to beat the Chiefs when it matters most.
I don't know that they are. I know that they look impressive last night. I know that Alex Smith, Josh Allen was 32 of 40, 300 and some odd yards, 70-something yards, 4 touchdowns. Looked great. But the Chiefs are just different. And maybe the Chiefs are different to me because I see them on highlights all the time. I watch them. It seems like they're on national television, big primetime games all the time. The coach is there. He's a figurehead in the National Football League. Maybe it's just that. They got the splash quarterback with the splash receivers, Honey Badger at safety. Maybe it's all of that little sizzle that makes me look at them different than I do the rest of the teams in AFC. With that being said, the Buffalo Bills going into that game last night felt like to me that the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins had tightened things up. There was a lot of pressure mounting for them to win the game against the Niners. If they lose that game against the Niners, it would have gotten even tighter. Now they win that game, the valve releases some of that pressure. Now they get a little more room, kind of, 3 games up to win the division. So it's a weird situation when they have about a 90% chance to win the division over the other teams that's fighting the Dolphins and the Pats. Josh Allen playing out of his mind. He had about a 3-game stretch this season that made you think about, okay, well, what type of quarterback is this dude for real? But over the last several games, he's shown us that he could be mentioned in there with some of these young quarterbacks that got drafted with him, or some of the younger guys that's having phenomenal careers. He's still not in that Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes category to me. Some would say, I don't know what I'm talking about, but he's not there yet. He's certainly headed in that direction, leading the charge. And I'll go back to this. The smartest thing that they could have ever done in Brandon Beane, the general manager, is go out there and trade for Stephon Diggs. The smartest thing they could have ever done, because you see it too many times in this league where they got young quarterbacks with a lot of talent with nothing around them, and the talent goes wasted. We could look at it right down the street with the Green team that we'll be talking about at some point later.
In the division.
In the division called the Gang Green, but not so much. The bad side of the Gang Green, not the good side. And so when you look at it, Jay Will, that's the one thing to me that stands out with this organization, is that they went out there and acquired some pieces to put around him from an offensive standpoint that has him playing, you could say at an MVP caliber level, but he's not going to be in that conversation, but he is certainly playing that way.
I got the Bills being better than the Steelers. I think the Bills will be the best competition that there will be for Kansas City. And I know Kansas City, Key, is going to be the favorite because they are explosive. I do feel like every time I turn on SportsCenter, I'm seeing a Steph Curry-like highlight reel when I watch Patrick Mahomes and the way they play, because of how they play. Even the Tyreek Hill catch we saw this past weekend, him not knowing they catch it, they're polarizing of a team to watch. But actually, when you dig deep, a lot of their wins, they played to the level of their competition as well. 3-point win against the Chargers, 2-point win against the Panthers, 4-point win against the Raiders, 3-point win against the Bucks, 5-point win against the Broncos. So they allow teams to hang into the games. Even though they are explosive, they can pull away. I think the Bills, for as explosive as they are, they belong in the top-tier conversation of the AFC. Think about it. This team should have won 6 games straight. They lost on the Kyler Murray Hail Mary pass, right, to DeAndre Hopkins that they should have batted that down, but Josh Allen made a great drive before. They actually lead the NFL in third down conversion rate, which allows them to sustain drives. They control the clock. They rest their defense. Josh Allen is playing at a high level. Guys, they're right there. They're right there. I think it's time we start putting some respect on the Bills' name. I know people want to say, well, we always expect them to be the old Bills. I know we say that about the Browns too, but this is a different Bills team. They belong in that top-tier conversation. You just need to see them do it before you believe it.
No, it goes back to, for me, what I'm looking at is they're playing smooth. There's no clunkiness to it, right? The one thing that I would say, they won the game, which they win the game, and I'll go back. If Cam Newton puts the ball in the left hand, they probably lose that game. Much like we talked about with the Cleveland Browns the other day. Cleveland took care of business against Tennessee, which we were waiting for, that signature kind of moment for Cleveland. When will the Bills' signature moment come? This Monday or Sunday night against Pittsburgh? Because prior to that, they're winning and they're beating teams the way they're supposed to beat them. But is there an impressive – I'll use the college Final Four, the college football playoff committee. Where's the impressive win at, like with the team? Is it the Kansas Cities? Have they beaten? Have they beat the Pittsburghs of the world? Have they shellacked the Green Bays or the New Orleans? Like, where is that W at?
Last thing, real quick. What do you think about the Pats' chances to maybe win out, get to 10 wins, and get to the wild card? Because that's the real wild card, quote unquote, discussion to be had.
Well, it starts this Thursday night in L.A. If they drop this one to the Rams, then you can forget it. But if they go out there and they're there already, I'm sure. If they take care of business and they beat the Rams, now all of a sudden people start to look at it differently. Now, I'm not counting them out ever until they're mathematically eliminated because, again, they've done well against teams that Bill has beaten up on before, like the Rams, for instance. And so let's see what happens in L.A. on Thursday night.
I don't think they're going to get it. But I'm also curious to see which Jared Goff shows up in that game, Key. We always talk about him being the difference maker, and now you say he's one of the top-tier quarterbacks there is in the league. Like, I just want to see it be consistent.
Well, if he doesn't play well, Z, then the Pats will win.
We have a lot of litmus test primetime games. Litmus test for Goff on Thursday night, litmus test for Allen and Roethlisberger Sunday night, litmus test for Lamar and Baker Mayfield on Monday night. Think about all those games.
Let's go.
Let's go indeed. Let's go to break. On the way, yeah, we know the deal. Trubisky, Foles, it's been terrible this year. I know, we discuss it every morning. The real question, what happens next season at the quarterback position? Our expert in Chicago with the answer next after Jay has this.